Hey, remember when the Leafs were winning 3-1 and then you tweeted that the Sabres suck and then the Leafs lost?
Yeah, I do.
GTFO! Look at this, finally!
Good old Canadian fire.
Country!
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Elon smash!
Owen Grabowski.
GTFO!
I got it from afar.
Leafs lose 5-4 in the shootout to the Buffalo Sabres. And I'm going to start with the question of the game this time, because I'm really curious to hear your answers. Who in the NHL, or maybe coming up in the AHL, and you can list as many players as you want, can both play hockey and fight? Because I'm at the point now where I'm not going to argue that Fraser McLaren and Colton Orr have no place on the Toronto Maple Leafs roster. I'm not even going to argue it, because it's not a matter of opinion. If you think those two matter, you are incorrect. But sending a message, you're wrong! If I'm Gary Bettman, I love that the Leafs have Colton Orr and Fraser McLaren, because you could use them in an argument that every team's roster should only have 9 forwards instead of 12. Roll 3 lines of forwards, maybe have a backup player. After all, you got a backup goalie, so there's an even 10. That's a nice number. There you go. There's your roster. McLaren played 2 minutes and 51 seconds. Orr played 2 seconds. Oh, but he showed Patrick Coletta. No, he didn't. Coletta got friggin' filled, but he was laughing and he stayed in the game. Some guy tweeted at me, oh, whatever about Patrick Coletta, you'd take him on your team. And I'm like, what, are you an idiot? And then I thought about it, and you look up his stats. Coletta draws more penalties than almost anyone for the amount of time he's on the ice. I'll take him over McLaren and Orr. I'll do it. Because for as goofy as he can be and for as detrimental to his team as he can be, on average, what Patrick Coletta does has more of a positive effect on the Buffalo Sabres than what Orr or McLaren do. I think sometimes there's a place in the lineup for a guy like Orr or McLaren every now and then. More often than not, you have him as a healthy scratch. But the Sabres have John Scott. What about John Scott? If he could skate faster than the speed of smell, I would be worried about John Scott. He's the missing link. But if I'm the Leafs, if I'm Randy Carlyle, I want the Sabres to play Scott more. Say what you will about John Ferguson Jr., his tenure as a Leafs GM was a complete disaster, but he had a great quote that I remember to this day. Remember when Cam Jansen of the Devils just took that real nasty run at Caberlet and injured him? Well, Jansen got suspended for 3 games, and Ferguson had a great quote about it, and I'm paraphrasing, but it was. A real punishment would be to force them to play Jansen 20 minutes a game. And by the way, I'm ranting about this, and let me cut you off before you say it. Those fights weren't the reason the Leafs lost. What happened after the fact, once those guys were out of the way? There was a really exciting game. And Colton Orr and Fraser McLaren didn't make the defensive lapses that made the Leafs go from winning 3-1 to losing 4-3. They didn't lose it for them in the shootout. They would never be used in the shootout. But I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, so they called up Ryan Hamilton and Orr played 2 seconds. Why not just go the whole 9 yards and sign Sean William Scott? 2 seconds of ice time and 29 penalty minutes. That's a parody of the movie Goon. And before you call me some bleeding heart who wants fighting taken out of the game, I love Mark Fraser because he can actually play. And in almost every fight this season, he has completely filled whoever he's fought. And 2, I love UFC. I've paid to go to their live events. I've taken a few mixed martial arts classes. Have you? I like fighting as its own thing. And honestly, I could give a crap if they take it out of hockey or leave it in. But right now, since there is fighting, if you're gonna fight, you should at least be able to play. And now the Leafs got the Bruins next, and if they play Orr and McLaren, the Bruins are looking at them like, so what? Please do play them. Because the guys in the Bruins who fight can actually play. Here, last thing I'll say about fighting. Take a Leaf fan favorite legend, like Ty Domi. Leafs fans loved him because 1, he won almost every fight. 2, for some reason, Toronto loves underdogs. And Ty Domi was an underdog. He's this short little dude. He's shorter than me, and he's pounding guys like Donald Brashear. And you can call Ty Domi a goon, and he wasn't Gretzky, but he could play. At least 1 year, he won the Leafs' fastest skater. So don't say I don't like fighting. I like fighting. It's these 2 I don't like. And Notice is making all these little trades and juggling roster spots to fit this guy in or account for that guy coming back from injury when these 2 are sucking up 2 spots. And the Leafs are on the playoff bubble. They're so close to being good. And anyway, this is how you can tell I don't really plan my videos, because what I wanted to talk about is how the Leafs suck in the shootout. Kessel, I think, is 15 for 52, which is terrible. MacArthur is 0 for 11. Grabowski is 3 for 13. Can't remember what Kadri's record is, but that stinks too. JVR's record stinks. Bozak's the only one on the team who can take shootouts, I think. And if I'm the coach, which I'm not, but if I am, I end. Just like the Penguins, I end every single practice with a shootout. I whine and complain about how I don't like the shootout and it's a skills competition, but it's here. It's here. And it decides a lot of points in the standings, which the Leafs desperately need, and they suck at it, so they better practice it. So anyway, to go with the question of the game, like first thing in this video before I went on that ridiculous fighting rant, who can you get for cheap that can play and fight or play and score on the shootout? So who's someone who's not necessarily great? He's definitely not going to make it in your top 6. But if you play him a few minutes a game and you need him for the shootout, you can use him. And who, like a Mike Brown, for example, isn't exactly very good and probably won't make it in your lineup every night, but he can play and he can fight. Mike Brown might not be the best example. I'm struggling to think of a good one. Maybe a Sean Thornton? Or actually, here you go, Brandon Prust. How about a guy like maybe Chris Neal, or how about this, Kyle Clifford? I don't know. I've kind of run out of time to talk about the game, but I just had to get that out. In the meantime, alternate question to the game, although you could have the same answer. What do the Leafs got to do to win more games? That's all for this video. Thanks for watching my ranting. If you want to hear more, you can read the Leafs post-game blog, which includes a great Aristocrats joke about, you could probably figure it out.